Welcome to the May market update. Let's start with what's happening right now at the time of recording this. Based on the latest housing market data from late April to early May, this has been the busiest period for house sales since July last year. We've seen a real surge in activity following Easter, with buyer demand rebounding to its highest level since the disruption abroad and at home earlier this year. Sales are holding up well, and in many areas, homes are selling just as quickly as they were in 2025. Even though overall sales are sitting around 3% below last year's peak, they're still significantly higher than the quieter months that we saw last summer. In fact, total residential sales are already running at about 4.5% ahead of 2024 levels. Even though overall sales are sitting around 3% below last year's peak, they're still significantly higher than the quieter months we saw after last summer. In fact, total residential sales are already running around 4.5% ahead of the 2024 levels, which really highlights the level of activity in the market right now. A big part of that is supply. There's around 5% more homes available compared to this time last year, and that's helping drive transaction levels. People can now see the house they're actually looking for. Now bringing it close to home, over the past 12 months, the average sale price across the WR postcode area has increased by 1%, now sitting at 295,347, with transactions reaching 3,984 over the previous 12 months. Houses continue to dominate, making up 89% of sales, with an average price of just over 320. Flats account for 11%, averaging around 150,000. In terms of activity, Worcester recorded 1,776 transactions, down 13%. Malvern dropped 23% to 524, and Droitwich was down 14% to 418. But locally, prices have held up better in most places. Malvern's up 3% to 311,000, Droitwich up 2% to 299,000, and Worcester's holding steady at around 263,000. As many of you will be aware, the Renters' Rights Act came into force on the 1st of May, and it represents the biggest change to private rented sector legislation in nearly 40 years. Section 21 no-fault evictions are now abolished. All tenancies have moved to rolling periodic contracts. Rent increases are restricted to once per year via a Section 13 notice, and tenants now have the right to request a PEP. If you have existing tenants, you'll also need to share the government's official information sheet with them by the 31st of May. We know all of this can feel a lot to navigate, and that's exactly why our lettings team is here to help. Whether you're unsure about your compliance, need to review your tenancy documents, or simply want to talk through what these changes mean for managing your rental property, please don't hesitate to get in touch. And for a full breakdown of the Act and what it means for landlords, head over to our YouTube channel, where we put together a dedicated guide to help you stay informed and protected. Let's talk about that local rental market now. Rents across the WR area have increased by 7.7% over the past year, now averaging £980 per month. Flats are averaging £837, while houses are achieving around £1,142 per month. Locally, Droitwich is up 3% to £1,020, Malvern's up 7% to £975, and Worcester's up 14% to £951 per month. Demand remains strong, and properties are still letting quickly. Looking at the wider economy, interest rates were held at 3.75% in April. While there's still some global uncertainty, rates have fallen, and they are 1.5% lower than they were back in mid-2024, which is helping improve affordability. Mortgage approvals are also picking up, and buyers are adjusting to the new market conditions. So what does all this mean? In this kind of market, strategy matters more than ever. Pricing correctly from day one, backed by strong local knowledge, is still the biggest factor in achieving a successful sale. In fact, 81% of the homes we listed in the first quarter of 2026 have already sold, compared to just 53% nationally. Now to community news. We're delighted to be sponsoring the Droitwich Athletic Club half and quarter marathon on Sunday the 14th of June at Churchfields Farm. If you'd like to take part, see their website for more information. Thanks for joining. I look forward to bringing the next market update to you next month.